From the heart of Europe to the world, this is RTI.
Hello everybody, welcome to Postcard from Poprad. I am in such a good mood this morning. I'm actually tired because I've been working so hard. And Dave Rhodes has already entered the building saying, I haven't run off today. Really? Okay, totally. And I'm just elated. I'm just an elated little person, which is a shock for me. This is Postcard from Poprad, from the glorious Tatry Mountains. There's a little bit of snow on them, would you believe, in the middle of August. Gosh. And it's your alternative sideways look at the news with a slight twist this week, because we'll be talking about subjects that are not actually on our running order. Hey-ho. Let's cross to the UK and say hello to... No, we're not. We're crossing to Spain. I keep doing that. Hello, Mr. Banks.
Hello.
Are you well?
I'm incredibly well. I am so well, it's ludicrous. It is outrageous that any one person can be so well.
I could challenge that today.
Well, I know, that's what I mean. It's such a healthy program. We've got Rachel back, she's healthy. You've just been classed as a non-smoker. I feel ludicrously, outrageously, energetically exciting, and everything's just wonderful.
I know. Rach, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm happy to be back. I missed you.
Oh,
we missed you.
We missed you as well. It wasn't the same without you keeping him in control.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was different. It was different. The lady in our lives had gone.
I'm back, though.
Lady?
No, that nearly came out all wrong. I'll rephrase what I was going to say before I say it.
Say the way you were going to say it, and then do it properly.
Well, I was going to ask Rach what it's like to be married to two radio people.
Oh yes, well it's busy, and I wish I had more hands.
I knew it was going to go wrong. Dave's already questioning the fact I'm a non-smoker. That story will come along later. But first of all, I've got to say, Rach is very brave. I know I babble on now and again about being dyslexic, which is why you often see crazy writing on Facebook. It is not the computer at fault, it's me. And even though I see the spell checker, my brain still goes, nah, don't worry about it. That pales into total insignificance when Rachel shares with us right now the reason why you weren't here, Rach.
Well, the reason why I wasn't there is because I had... I suffer from bipolar disorder, and for people who don't know what that is, it used to be called manic depression. It is in some parts of the world still called that. And I had an episode, my first episode in about 6 years, in the middle of July, and you go a bit crackers up by the ceiling for a while, and then you come thumping down with the depression. So it's manic and then depression. And that had to be managed by medication tweaking and psychiatrists, and a lot of time off work, and a lot of time away from you guys, and a lot of time away from nice, normal people, so I didn't frighten anyone.
But it is quite scary, isn't it?
It really is. And I actually was sitting at my desk middle of July, and all of a sudden it came over me. I just felt like I had an literally insane need to get out of the building and to get home and to be away from people, because I knew that I was having an episode. And you know how simple it is with this sickness is based on levels of lithium and so forth in your blood. And my lithium had dropped down out of nowhere, and that's because I hadn't been paying any attention to it. I'm supposed to have 6 monthly blood checks, and I hadn't been doing it, so they didn't know that it was about to drop. It's my own fault. But then they needed to check that, and then to increase my lithium, which I've been taking now for 6-7 years. And if I manage myself, I'm okay, but I didn't manage myself. I got very complacent about it because I'd been so well for such a long time. But it was good that I knew what was happening to me, and I knew to get out of there and get home. Oh, right. So I didn't go back to the office for quite a long time, and they actually didn't think I was going to come back. But I have just been to the doctor yesterday, and he gave me the all clear to return to my normal everyday life.
Wow. Wow. Hold on a minute. Round of sandwiches for that.
Yeah.
Can
I just say something though about Rachel, because Rachel and I, we've been, as all of us, have been talking quite a lot over the weeks while she's been coping with this, and it's the one thing she's shown all the way through is what you can only describe as determination and bravery.
I would say abject determination.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just been, and the thing is, I as a fellow sufferer from depression, I've not had a bout of depression, a real serious bout of depression for a long time, since I went through similar things to Rachel. I didn't need drugs, I just needed talking therapy, and I've not suffered really in a great way because I understand what causes it. But the main thing is that Rachel is going to write for, wait for it, the Consumer Watch Foundation about her experiences. And the main thing is that she is standing up and saying, this is what I wouldn't say admitting, because there's nothing to be ashamed of if you suffer from depression and if you suffer from bipolar. You should not go away in a corner and hide and think you're a terrible person. You're not. You have an imbalance in something that we all have. And what you need to do is, in certain cases, control it by drugs, and in other cases, control it by understanding what's going on, which is exactly what Rachel did when she came out of her office and went home.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this, to me, it's no different than being a diabetic or having a broken leg. I mean, there's something wrong that requires medical attention, and I know myself. I mean, I've had this illness for most of my adult life. In fact, all my adult life. So I knew that there was something wrong, and I knew I had to do something else. But the thing about these sorts of mental illnesses is that you must do the work. You must want to be well. You must fight. You really must fight. But sometimes you have to just allow what is happening to you to happen to you. And it's like I often think of it as it's like swimming against a rip. If you swim against a rip, you're going to drown. Yeah. You have to just float on your back and let this thing take you wherever it takes you. And then when you feel strong enough, flip over and swim. Yep. And there's always someone who will understand. And don't be ashamed of it. If you were a diabetic, would you be ashamed of being a diabetic? No. What did I say to you before, Uncle Eric? Bipolar is the new black.
Well, exactly.
That's really so well. And the thing is, it also, and this is something that we
actually, I've just got a message from Brandon. He says, and you must do the work and learn too, Rach.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Brandon. What's Dave say? Oh, Dave says 5 minutes CWF, not as quick as last week, Leigh. But no, Rach is absolutely right. It took. I was so scared for years to actually admit that I couldn't write properly. I read in a funny way, and you know, when I was 11 years old, I vividly remember my head teacher said to my dad, whose name was Dennis, "Oh, Dennis, Eric's never going to be anything. Just get him a job putting wheels on tyres in the factory," and dismissing it completely because they just didn't want to understand. And bipolar is exactly the same. If you look at some of the great people around the world that have done amazing things, they have suffered with bipolar.
Lots of people have bipolar. That beautiful Catherine Zeta-Jones, she's one of the most famous people with bipolar disorder, very outspoken about it. Not ashamed at all, and why should she be? It's a chemical imbalance in your brain that can be fixed.
Yes.
But you do. Don't be afraid. Don't think it's the end. It's not. It's the beginning of something even more sort of magical and wonderful and weird. Well, if it hadn't been for my bipolar disorder and me being off work for 4 years, I would never have ever have gotten onto your show.
You wouldn't, would you?
No.
And I just thought of another incredibly talented person in the form of Spike Milligan, the late great Spike Milligan, who was absolute depressive. And look at the genius that he came out with. And Brandon just said, it's not a shame, not a blame, well said.
Yeah.
I think you've got a new fan, Rach. Say hello to Brandon.
Hello, Brandon. Fight the good fight, buddy.
Yeah, there you go.
There is a very simple fact here, and Rachel touched on it, and it's so simple yet so important, that actually if you suffer from depression or bipolar or something like that, and you go through it and you study what is creating it, what's causing it inside yourself, you begin to understand yourself better, and therefore you're able to cope with it better, but also it makes you a more complete human being.
Yes.
And that's the benefit of actually going through this hell at times.
Yes. Well, Brandon says thanks, Rachel. So thanks, Rachel.
My pleasure.
Brandon, she can't actually see the chat room, which is, if you've only just recently joined us, I'm sitting in the Slovak Republic, and Leigh would normally be in the UK, but he's currently in Spain. And Rach is all the way down in Australia, or up, depending on which way you look at it. And Dave just says, all credit to Rachel and the team for talking about this on air. It's been swept under the carpet for far too long. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's a good thing to do. And thanks ever so much for that, Rach. I've got a couple of housekeeping jobs to do beforehand, because I'd like to say thank you to the Hemel Gazette, who've now actually printed an apology for our good friend Jan Talinsky. They were claiming that he entered the UK illegally in an article, and they've now retracted that. And as a token of goodwill, they've donated some money to the fabulous Great Ormond Street Hospital in London in Jan's name. So well done for standing up, the Gazette, and being honest about it, and having the strength to actually say sorry.
Well, that's what newspapers do. You have to be fair. That's
what
newspapers do. Well, they do it. There's the proof that they do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something that's written into the contract with the public that if you get it wrong, you say sorry.
Yep, and I thank them for doing it. I really do. So thank you to them. Also, what was I going to say? Yes, we are running around looking and expanding our live shows on RTI. When I say live, some are pre-recorded, to get more presenter programmes on. There'll be a new schedule in September. Nobody's leaving us. We're just adding more. Mm-hmm. There is a bit of bad news in that.
Oh.
It means my lovely little mixes that I do for the fill-in shows at the weekend with all my lovely gold classic tracks won't be there anymore.
Oh no!
Because we've got real people doing them. Yeah, we've got real people doing them instead now. So there'll be lots more people coming to join the RTI family, along with everybody else that's here already. So look out for some more shows. And Brandon, there will be some classic rock in there for you. So don't you worry your little head about that. So we'll do a little bit of news, because this one upset me a lot. And nice to have seen you. Nice, Mr. Bruce Sir Forsyth has left the building. Actually, he's left the whole world. Actually, what I can't say or speak highly enough of Bruce. He was one of the old-fashioned entertainers. Yeah. He could sing, he could dance, he could act, he could be very impromptu, and I think his biggest quality, and this is a really odd thing to say, he could abuse the audience and they'd laugh when he did it.
That's right. Yeah.
And he could. I mean, you've got Dave sitting there in the audience a minute, and Sir Bruce would say, not that Dave Rhodes, no, not him again, who let him back in this audience? And he would do that, and Dave would laugh. Now, if I did it, he'd hurl abuse at me. But
did you see one when Sir Bruce he must have been in his 80s, was invited to present Have I Got a Bit More News for You?
Yes.
The usual presenters are like Jeremy Clark's, people like that. Mm. And he did exactly what you were saying. He just went on the attack. He attacked everybody. He insulted everybody.
Yep.
And the whole place was just in uproar of hilarity. Yeah, the man was a genius. I hate to say it, but he was.
That kind of hurt you, didn't it?
It hurt me to say that, yeah, because I didn't really like him, but I have to admit he was really good.
He was brilliant.
The show was brilliant.
He was just phenomenal. He was a bit camp, to say the least, but there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the one thing that he could do, and I noticed having looked back at a load of old programmes I've got, and every time he would come out with, the catchphrases, but the one that didn't get picked up on quite so much, which he used so much, "You're a better audience than last week." And he would do it on every show.
I never heard that. Yeah, you're right. I never recall that at all.
Yeah, but he did it all the time. "You're a better audience than last week." "Oh, that Mavis last week." Blah, blah, blah. And he'd go on. And the audience would just laugh a lot. Dave says, "Bruce, a true all-round entertainer, the like of which we don't have now." And I think he's right, actually.
I'm just trying to think if we do.
I don't think we do. Michael McIntyre's halfway there.
Doesn't dance, doesn't sing.
No, well, he can sing, but he doesn't much. But he's very quick-witted, like Bruce.
Yeah. But it's that whole thing, isn't it? He came out the same stable as Sammy Davis Jr. and people like that.
Sort of.
Sorry?
Sort of. He came out of... Well, effectively, he was about to give up the whole entertainment business altogether because it wasn't going anywhere. And then he got a job at the Windmill Theatre in London, which sounds very posh, but it's actually a vaudeville kind of theatre where back in the 50s you had scantily dressed young ladies dancing around the stage and the theatre was full of blokes. And it was an old-fashioned 1930s style vaudeville stage show. And that was his first break before he went on to do Sunday Night at the London Palladium, which,
That's right.
Which of course, from day one he owned it. It was his.
He was sad. But he got that Sammy Davis show. There were other people around at that time where, singing, dancing, joking, and entertaining. It was all part of the package. And I think David's right. I'm racking my brains to find somebody now who has that same package. And I don't think there is. I don't think there is anybody in Australia either, is there?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. I don't think there is. There's, I guess, the last of them, he's a retired guy now, would be a gentleman by the name of Bert Newton, who is well and truly retired. But they've all gone now. They were all massive in the 60s, 70s. Started on radio, that sort of ilk. But they're not currently working anymore. They've either died or they've retired.
Yeah, I genuinely think there was a lot to do with, as they say, treading the boards.
Oh, of course it was, yeah.
Which we all had to do in some form or other. I'm nowhere near anything as clever as Bruce. But, we started in entertainment in the back room of a pub. And that's how I got started, literally.
And Rachel was famous on telly.
But before that, you were still acting.
It was the boards first.
Yeah.
Cool. And I was a member of the National Youth Theatre, so we have a triumvirate.
Gosh.
There you go.
We are all there then.
Now, I'm a trained actor.
Yes. Well, anyway, listen. If you have access to the BBC, either BBC World or BBC One, because it'll be on both, there is going to be a massive tribute to Sir Bruce on Strictly Come Dancing. The executive producer, that's Louis Rainbow, have said that the show's dancers will pay tribute to Sir Bruce and celebrate his life on the new series, which starts on the 23rd of September. It was... he turned a very boring, dying show into something phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And now it's emulated all over the world. It really is. Rach, you've got one sad passing with you, haven't you?
Yeah.
I do, and I'm actually really sad about this. I sort of caught a glimpse of it on Facebook today, but I didn't pay much attention. Wonderful actor called Jay Thomas, who started his career on Mork and Mindy, of all shows.
Shouts back, no.
Sorry?
Shazback, nano.
Oh my God! I just thought something was wrong with my connection then, but it was you.
Lee's now looking to the sky, going, "What is he on about?"
Right. I know it. Nanu. He was on just about everything. He also did a lot of work in radio, but he was a really funny guy. He was in Cheers for a long time. He was married to the character of Carla for a couple of years, and his latest stuff that he was doing was Ray Donovan, but more so now he was Murphy Brown. He was in for a long time. He's one of those guys. If you Google him and you see his face, you go, "Oh, him."
Yeah.
So he died of cancer, age 69, and that was just announced today.
Gosh. Well, actually, talking, I'm going to twist it round slightly because you lead me in there beautifully. Because Dave was asking earlier, me giving up smoking. No, I haven't. But in Slovakia, which is a bit different to the UK, and I don't know about Australia, Rachel, tell us, when you get to a certain age of maturity, like I do, you get all sorts of tests done all the time. And on Monday, because I had what do they call them? Melanoma on my leg. Which is like a baby cancer, really. It's not a proper one, it's a baby one. And it went a bit funny and yucky and horrible. It was treated beautifully by a wonderful nurse and doctor. And then they decided, and I was freaking out, because they're going, well, you should have an ultrasound now. I went, why? Well, because you got this and it could lead to other things and we need... And I'm thinking, what, now? And they went, now? And I'm thinking, if this was England, it wouldn't be now, but it is here. So I do as I'm told, and I've got sort of jelly thrust all over my legs. And she said, "Oh, do you know what, Mr. Wiltsher? It's really nice to be treating a non-smoker." And I looked at the doctor and went, "What? Who?" And I said, but I do. I'll be honest, I do. She said, "What, you're a social smoker?" I said, "Not really. About 20 a day." She went, "Oh my God. Well, think of your lungs then instead." And then went on to tell me, as my heart doctor did before, that for some bizarre reason, the pressure of the blood flow at the top of my artery in my leg to the bottom is absolutely perfect, meaning I've got no blockages, which is phenomenal.
I think also your lifestyle changes of late have helped.
Oh, don't spoil it. I was going to claim my body was brilliant.
No, well, it's brilliant because of Tina and the crew and the tutelage that you have most wisely been following. But I think the change in your diet, the fact that you're exercising, all of these things, and riding a bike. There you go.
Exactly.
It's circulation flowing.
Ah, right. So I'm not Superman then.
No, you're a human who's doing something smart other than the smoking thing, because that's just dumb.
So I'm not a Superman dumb person. Oh, well.
No, you're mildly dumb.
Mildly dumb. Oh, that'll do. We move on, because there's a couple of topics I really want to get in this week. Jerry Lewis. What can you say about a man like this? Jerry Lewis, the comedian, has died. He was aged 91, which is a good innings, so no problems there. And he was that guy that could twist his face all round when he was in the movies, and a bit like as the English call it, gurning. And he was just a magical person who could make... And I remember seeing him in on a show or something with Dean Martin, where Dean Martin was always the straight guy. And he couldn't keep a straight face. He was just cracked. Absolutely cracked up.
He also invented the telethon.
He did.
Because he raised all that money for muscular dystrophy.
Yeah.
Nearly $1 billion, wasn't it? Nearly some absolutely phenomenal amount of money over a long period of time for muscular dystrophy. He invented the telethon, and he was just a wonderful, funny, brilliant, and so he could also play it both ways. The original Nutty Professor.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did the goofy and he did the cool. He could do both.
Yeah, which is a perfect actor as it goes. He did
do some serious roles in his later years as well. I can't remember what they were exactly at the moment, but he did, didn't he? He was not. Again, there you have it, an all-round entertainer. He was a hoofer. he actually did record music with Dean Martin. I think he made some albums by himself. He, again, was an all-round entertainer. They don't exist anymore.
I'll have to have a go at that. I'll have to do that.
What, be an all-round entertainer?
No, go and record some albums. I could do that.
I'll play them on my show.
But you would only abuse them.
I wouldn't abuse your albums. I'd abuse you, but I would be very nice about your albums. I'd explain that this man, who is a secret smoker, is the man who's making it. I would just abuse you. Yes, dear.
I could do cover versions, but Dave says no.
What would you? Yeah, but what would you cover? You'd cover Agadoo.
No, I wouldn't.
Hey,
Breaker 19. This here's a rubber duck. You got a copy on me, Big Ben. Come on.
Could you cover In the Air Tonight?
Yeah. Doom, 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 doom. Yeah, I could do that. And if you do an album, what you do to an Elvis record, thank you. What he's referring to is smashing records that I did once, and all the Elvis fans hated me, but he's purporting to buy one of the albums. Well, actually, no. If everybody bought the album, I'd be rich. They could smash them afterwards. I don't care. That'd work.
Should we do that then? Should we do a covers version? I would like to cover Daniel O'Donnell with a 10-foot slab of concrete.
Now, actually, I've got to tell you, for a joke once, when we first started here in 2006, well, 5-6, I think it was the first Christmas here, Vlado came into the studio and they were about to play Bing Crosby's White Christmas. Yes. So I said, we'll do a duet, jokingly, because it was Christmas. And he said, yeah, I'll do that. I didn't realise he was a baritone proper. So we went on, and then as we finished it, because I got all serious, and came off air, they all went, but you can sing. I said, nah. And he said, yeah, you can. I went, nah. But we did get asked to play it over and over and over again. So I was technically number one on our own radio station.
Have you still got a copy of it?
I think I have somewhere, yeah.
I think we should make that our Christmas song.
All right. But before we do that, we're going to let Rach have a rant.
Oh, what am I ranting about? I forgot.
The Aboriginals want Dr. Cook's statue taken down.
Oh, Captain Cook's statue. They don't want it taken down. They want it reworded on the plaque. What they're saying is that a very well-respected journalist called Stan Grant, who's an Indigenous Australian, and he has said we need to do something about this because basically they're saying that nothing happened in Australia before white people got here. And it's a fair point. He's quite right. Many things happened well before white people got here. I don't think they need to be ripping statues down in, the spirit of what's going on in America at the moment. I think what they need to do is reword what's written. It said discovered by Captain Cook. It wasn't discovered by Captain Cook. We can say something else like white people rocked up or
something.
Just something else, because there's enough divisiveness in the world without us making it worse here. And we need to pay respect to the first Australians. We must.
Yeah.
They were here before us. It's just a fact of life.
I don't get all this trying to rewrite history later on.
No, me neither.
It's like the people going, we want to remove Nelson's column. No, you don't. No.
It's arrogant and it's presumptuous.
I think there is a reason why history has to be rewritten at times, and that's because we understand more about history, and also the world generally takes on a different complexion. And really, some of the things that were done in the past by Nelson, by Cook, by all sorts of people,
terrible.
Were terrible, yeah. And where these people have been eulogised and turned into concrete and stone statues, that their names are literally emblazoned in stone for the world to see. We do need to be in a position to tell a little bit, at least, of the truth of what they were about.
That's easy. That's
But
easy.
it has to be based on what the life was like at the time of their existence.
You put a plaque at the bottom of the statue.
And like Rachel says, it has to be worded very, very
Yeah.
carefully. And it has to, so you don't insult the good things they did. We all do good and bad. Everybody does good and everybody does bad. But these people, I understand where people like Stan Grant are coming from. These people have been eulogised as heroes, and the despotic side of them is never really talked about.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break there, boys and girls. We'll be back in just on a minute.
RTI.
Everybody okay? Remember your training, all right?
RNLI lifeboat crews are unpaid volunteers. They rescue 22 people every day. On a lifeboat, training is a matter of life and death, and it costs £1,000 a year for each crew member. As a charity, we receive no UK government funding, so our crew's safety depends entirely on your donations. Please call 0800 543 210 and donate £20 or whatever you can afford. Because next time, this could be for real.
RTI.
Welcome back to part 2 of Postcard from Poprad with me, Eric Wiltsher, Leigh Banks in Spain, Rachel down there in Australia, and I've got some absolutely fabulous news coming up next for one of Leigh's passions, which is helping out dads. And maybe quickly, Leigh, you can explain what dads is.
Oh, he's restarting.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, he's gone. I've just
Sound was-
looked.
His sound was all wackadoo and he had to restart.
Oh, well, can you know Paul ever so well, so you can explain dads, can't you?
I know Paul, not really, but I'll try. Dads is about alienated parents, in particular fathers who have been alienated from their children by their ex, and they're not acknowledged and they find it difficult to get contact with their kids, etc., etc.
Right.
So the crux of that group is to support dads supporting each other.
Right.
And Paul and his group in the UK, all looking after each other, and then there's my Paul who does a completely different thing, but it's sort of related. But yeah. So that's what Dad does. It's about alienated parents.
Yeah. Well, one of the problems that parents have had over the years is that to go on holiday as a family was actually more expensive than a family with two parents. And I could see that putting barriers in the way, especially with dads and people like that, because single-parent families could soon benefit, Dave, could soon benefit from cheaper holidays and more flexible. And this is all down to a Sky News investigation that highlighted the problem. And, you know, these single-parent families were being discriminated against when travelling abroad in very many cases. And the first one to jump onto it is good old Richard Branson's mob, Virgin Holidays, saying that they reckon, now this has all been brought to bear, that a single-parent family could save up to £1,000, which is a lot of money and a lot of ice cream, depending on when they travel, which is kind of nice if they're actually thinking about it. And this is Joe Thompson from Virgin Holidays. He's the managing director. He said, "We heard from customers and Sky News that this lack of flexibility historically in the travel industry was something that was causing frustration. And we are pleased to be able to sit down with our partner resorts and work pretty quickly to get something together in terms of a collection of holidays in the Caribbean."
That's great. You know, I was a single parent for a long time.
Yeah.
And there was no way that I could take her on a holiday ever.
No.
It was just completely impossible. I mean, it's different from Australia because everything's so far away. It costs a lot of money.
Yep.
But, I mean, I think it's important. It's when you don't have a partner to share the burden of parenting with, so it's all left up to you, plus you have to work. It's exhausting, and sometimes you need to get away and you need to relax and you need to treat that child to something other than seeing you non-stop working. I think it's brilliant, and hats off to them.
Yeah, well done, Virgin. We like you.
We really do.
We do. I think that's a fabulous thing, and we'll try and get Leigh to put that on his website as well if he ever returns. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't returned yet. Oh, yes, he has. As I said, he hasn't returned. He returns. Hello.
Hello, did you miss me?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Didn't help anyway, we sound still terrible.
I did. I missed you.
Thank you, Rachel. I missed you too. I was here all alone. Do you know it normally takes 42 seconds for my machine to load? It took 4 minutes.
That's
4
outrageous.
minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, so it did, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back, actually.
That's very kind of you, thank you.
Because I know you're going to rant.
Am I?
Yes.
Okay.
Because in the UK there's been a big spat. And yesterday evening, as part of the spat, which I didn't really intend it to go the way it did, but it went that way anyway. The big thing has been about exam results, the GCSE results in the UK, with some people going, oh, the poor little children didn't have enough time to get ready for it. Hello, welcome to the real world. For goodness sake.
Yeah. On that basis, there is a young lady, as my machine is still loading, I can't really give you her name at the moment,
right.
But she was indirectly a victim of the bomb attack in Manchester.
Yeah.
And I think it was her brother who was killed in it.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, if forgive me if I got the facts wrong, because I'm doing it without anything in front of me at the moment, but she went ahead and did her exams. That wasn't because she was cold, because she was insensitive or anything else. She was determined and she was focused. Grow up! If you want your kids to do well, make them do well. Show them how to do well. Get them to read the dead poets.
No. No.
Yes.
This is going to be 2 on 1, I can feel it. Anyway, these results cover, get this, 3 core subjects. Maths, English language, and English literature.
Yeah. Those are the 3 core subjects.
Where is the science? Where is physics? Where is
in another
computing?
exam, in a different exam. In a
But the
different
core subjects are maths, English language, and English literature. How on earth does a dead poet help you fix a computer?
All the dead
He
poets.
inspires you like a muse.
Well, you've got to look at it, Rachel, dead simply. What are the very basics of life?
Yeah.
The very basics of life are language and basically mathematics. Everything is built on a mathematical formula. Life itself is a mathematical formula.
No, I'm with you there. I'm with you.
And so you have 3 core subjects, which are all the basics of life, and literature. The history of literature is the history of life. And if you remove history, then you become like a despotic society.
No, I don't want people to remove history at all. But
literature is part of history.
I know, but it says the factories, and a lot of people miss this and then went on about, you can't think properly unless you've read read literature. It helps you to think problems through. No, it doesn't.
Of course it does.
It doesn't. The problem
Yes,
is...
it does.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
The thing
You can
is...
keep saying it, but it won't make it true.
Oh,
Well, I'm saying the same thing, because I totally and utterly agree with maths and English language. And in Slovakia, it should be maths and Slovenčina. It should be the language that you do. The books bit should be in history. The 3 core subjects in a modern world should be maths, language, and science technology.
It's the same as it is here in Australia. It's always maths, English language, and English literature.
Yeah, I know,
Dorothy, just written in to us saying, and she's an old teacher, with emphasis on the old.
Oh, you rotter.
She has just said she spent her life. She's been head of education. She's been also heads of all sorts of things in education. And she says the same thing. The basics of education are maths and language.
Yep, I agree, Dorothy. And as Dave's just put, how does Romeo and Juliet help him with his job? It doesn't.
But it does.
Does it help you be single?
How?
Does it help you be single, Dave? You know what? It's about what it does is it forms a relationship between certain parts of your critical thinking and reasoning, and that's what English literature has always done.
Well, that's right. I mean, okay, this is not showing off or anything, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Now, I have no idea. I really don't. I have no idea where this comes from, apart from I'm going to say thank you to the big guy upstairs because he gave me the skills. When we moved into this building, we completely rewired it, all the LAN network, the local area network.
Every time we do this, you rant on about tech, and I so am sick of it.
Why?
I'm sick of railroading tech all over literature. Every single flipping time we have this conversation, you interrupt with a story about you rewiring something. But I've had a gutful.
Because if the only skills we all had was to be able to go and rewire our studio, what happened to the rest of the world? What happened to farmers? What happened to philosophers?
Right. Well, farming, as one that's very close to a farm, I can honestly tell you, a farm is so full of tech these days as to be almost obscene. Even the tractors have computers on them.
Right, and they can all get their corn and harvest their stuff while I read my nice book.
Yeah, I don't
want.
And how did tech come about? Tech came about by the understanding of mathematical equations and the creation.
And critical reasoning.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I because I'm an honest person, Brandon's written, I think we're up to a good start into the awesome university. Well, that's what he's saying with your books.
Oh.
He's agreeing with you, is Brandon?
Brandon's always agreeing with me because he's a man of culture and intelligence. And I no doubt he's handsome.
Oh, flattery will get you everywhere.
Let me put it this way to you. Let me put it this way to you, Mr. Wiltsher.
Yes.
Right? If there was no literature, if there was no philosophy taught to our and believe me, the kind of language that is now used, I'm not talking about obscene language, I'm talking about the use of language, the way that language is presented in a written form is outrageous. Our schools are failing societies abysmally in the way they are teaching people.
I agree.
And really, the schools should be taken to task by the government over this. Schools should really be absolutely berated for what they're doing. But if we didn't have the creativity of language and the creativity of history and the creativity of philosophy, we would have no music. We would have no films, we would have no video games, we would have no creativity at all in this society. We might as well go and live with that bloke with funny hair in North Korea.
I wouldn't be able to write my wonderful article about mental illness for the Consumer Watch Foundation.
Because we're just doing loads of ones and I's and O's and whatever they call.
Exactly.
No, you're doing language. I agree with language. But I don't understand. I don't understand what Shakespeare has got to do with the modern world.
Because it's philosophy, because it's the history of society, because it gives you a rounded view of what has gone on to create what we have today.
Okay.
And at the moment, there is so much destroying what we have today that we need to pound people with what the reality of creativity is, and how, you see, Shakespeare isn't just a storyteller, he was a historian. He was one of the world's greatest, like the Bible is an historic document. It doesn't matter whether you believe in God or not, it's a historic document.
Oh, well, I'm going to take a couple more messages from the guys. Brandon says, "Why, thank you again, Rachel. You're so nice." Oh, get a room, you two. Dave said, "Language evolves over time. Look at how many new words get added to dictionaries every year." I quite agree. We move on because I mustn't stress Rach out today. I've got to be a good boy.
What about me? You've stressed me.
That doesn't count. It's all right.
I'm highly medicated. I'm cool, man.
Yeah, you're cool. Well, yeah. Hi, man. I'm cool. A rare white koala has been born at an Australian zoo in Queensland. Rach?
Why do we care?
We care because it's
nice.
a cutie. It's a cutie patootie. It's a nice story, and it's
can't rewire a studio.
No, he can't.
But he can't read your stupid literature either.
Can I just correct you? Because a koala is not a bear.
No, they're not, are they? They're a marsupial.
They're a marsupial and they're not a bear, so koala bear is incorrect.
So you can't even say it, Rachel.
How much can a koala bear? This lovely little Joey has been born, but he's white. He's not, but very critically, the thing about this story is that he's not an albino. He's a silver-haired baby, Joey, and it's a recessive gene coming from his mother.
Oh.
And they're very rare. They're very rare. So this is a great story. It's a lovely story, and you should see the pictures of him. He's so cute.
He's really cute.
He's super cute.
Nice.
Koalas are actually smelly and they scratch.
I know that. Yeah.
Anyway, they will be in poo on you.
We have to keep our fingers crossed that the giant panda in Scotland is about to drop a sprog, but we don't know yet because pandas can do funny things and pretend they're pregnant and they're not really, and it goes on and on. But there's now Panda Watch going on in Scotland. You can look at it on the interweb. Poor mummy.
I love Panda Watch.
I like that too. I only put this story about the winner of the Powerball in Massachusetts in because why didn't the people there tell her to take her chewing gum out of her mouth before putting her on the telly?
Well, what'd she go on telly for, the idiot?
Well, there is that to it, but she's like, she's chewing the gum.
Doesn't the American government take almost half in tax?
Yeah, she'll go down to about, I think she loses about $300 million.
That's a shame.
That's disgusting.
Well, because it's taxed as unearned income, mate.
Yeah.
But in Britain, we don't get taxed on winnings, do we?
We don't either.
No, but they do in the States, Leigh.
That's disgusting. That's that other funny-haired bloke, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, apparently she's a health worker, and as a result of getting the thing all confirmed, she's called her boss and told him she will not be coming back.
Very caring. Very caring.
She'll be bored, though, soon.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
What?
I still want to do something, because I'd get bored. Yeah, I agree with Rach.
Yeah, I'd carry on doing things.
You know what I've been doing for the last 7 weeks while I haven't been able to be at my work?
No.
Jackson Pollock.
You're going to laugh. I've been making candles.
Yeah,
I've been
nice.
painting.
Yes.
Uncle Leigh saw my painting.
Jackson Pollock's was brilliant.
It's actually a bit Jackson Pollocky. It was my state of mind at the time, and I've been making jewellery.
And I would say it was a load of Pollocks.
And then I started crocheting, and all I wanted to do was ram that crochet hook into my eye. By the time
you finished,
I'm so glad to be going back to work.
But we have got a synergy there, Rach. I love making candles.
Candle making is cool.
Yeah,
I need a candle.
They're lovely.
I didn't even burn myself, not once.
And this is not being an eco-friendly person, but you know those big candles that last for about a day. You can put, they're in the glass thing that you buy in the shops. There's always about 10% left in the bottom.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what motivated me. I actually took a knife and cleaned one lot into another lot into another lot. Then I found a little shop where I could get some candle wicks and some of the things.
With the green.
Nice oil.
Yeah. No, because they'd already got the smellies in them, you see. So as it burnt down, it went from orange to lemon to something else on the way down, and I got another candle for like 10 cents.
Oh, you made your candle from scraps of other candles. I made my candles from scratch.
Oh no, I had to make them.
You melted a horse.
Yeah, I made rainbow-coloured candles, put the wick in at the appropriate time, poured one light in, then let it set, then poured the next light in, the next. So it's like making a big trifle.
But don't only make them out of soy, because if you make them with paraffin, it's actually carcinogenic.
I know, but this was proper stuff anyway before, so I wasn't cheating really much. Anyway, this isn't really a global story, but in a lot of ways it is. Shares in the owner of Carphone Warehouse have plunged, and the reason being, it appears that we are not getting rid of our mobile phones as quickly as we used to. Whereas
can't afford them.
Well, that's what I would have thought that was logical to anybody, Leigh, or am I being daft?
Well, no, because we've got to say in England, the pound has plummeted against everything, and so everything's become more expensive, and new technology is incredibly expensive in Britain at the moment. And I have an 8-year-old phone or whatever it is, and it's when it gets mended, when I finally get back to Britain, because for some reason they can't mend them in Europe, it will service me, I use that phrase advisedly, perfectly well.
Yep. Oh, Brandon's getting in quick. He's asking for more records. You'll have to hang on a minute. I'm under pressure here, Brandon. It's not easy keeping these two under control, you know.
Brandon, take a cleansing breath.
Oh, dear. He wants the laughing version of Elvis. I agree. Anyway, this annoys me. A hospital up near where Leigh lives, in Ludlow, in Shropshire, has rejected a donation of £2,500 from men who were dressing up as nurses to raise money. What is wrong?
There is one reason that I live as much as I can in a different part of the world than the Midlands and Shropshire and Staffordshire, where my house is actually on the border of both those places. The reason is because it's filled with idiots.
It is idiotic. I mean,
It's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. These people went out and raised £2,500 for this ridiculous hospital. They need it. They need all sorts. They're also, we've got no money. The NHS won't give us any money, will they? We can't. Well, you'll have to go away and die. And then they turn it around because they raised it by dressing up as nurses. How ridiculous can you get?
I agree. Rach,
yes.
Can you express some tablets over, please?
Yes. Which ones would you like? There are about 9 of them.
Oh, my word.
I know what I'll do. I'll send you the blue ones.
Is the blue one the best one?
Yeah, the blue one's the best one.
All right. Anyway, Sanity has returned because the cash that they were going to donate has been set aside to buy an ECG machine for the hospital instead. Let's see him turn that one down.
Exactly. Well, they will, because they're just stupid. Absolutely stupid.
It beggars belief. It really does. And I mean, Dave was one of the people who worked really hard many years ago when my daughter was born to raise money to get modern equipment put in a hospital. I mean, let's be honest here. People dressing up in a nurse's uniform is not as bizarre as me and Dave raising money for a hospital. Beggars belief. I'm rather annoyed with the Royal Mail.
This is outrageous.
Yeah, Royal Mail, 24 hours after this poor old chap died, his daughter, who's only 24, was harassed for not bringing back his uniform 24 hours after he died. And was threatened with arrest.
Yep.
For not bringing his uniform back. Do you know what?
Yep.
What I would do, I would say, keep the uniform, dear. Do what you want with it. Doesn't matter. Not interested, because the cost of the uniform to the Royal Mail is absolutely sweet FA.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it is just wrong.
That's a disgrace. disgrace.
It is a disgrace. Royal Mail, hang your head in shame.
They have apologised.
I know, but it's a bit late after the event.
Does it? Absolutely not. It doesn't take anything away from what they've done.
Boycotted. Everybody in Britain use FedEx.
Yeah. No, actually, I've got to be honest. I'm not happy with the private company that is the Mail still using the Royal Mail's name. I don't think that's right. It's not the Royal Mail anymore. It's been sold off.
Yeah, but they would have bought that, and actually, it's not really a misrepresentation in terms, is it? But it does trade on something that was good and has now become bad.
No,
Do you know we get
Solid
our
the good
first
name
post
of
at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Do you?
2 o'clock in the afternoon, our first post arrived. Then we don't get a second post because it's too late. They all have to go home and have the tea.
Second post? What's that?
Yeah.
Well, we used to have a morning post and a second post.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
You don't get it now because they all have to finish early because they have to get up early to go and get your mail there really late.
God, I used to do that as my school job, you know. At school holidays at Christmas. I would be out on my bicycle delivering the post. Then I'd go out for the second delivery as well.
I spent most of my youth sticking things in holes as well.
Well, there you go. Now, if you're having your dinner at the moment, please pause just for a moment because you might be upset. Although I've got to say, it is life. A bunch of firefighters actually saved some little piglets from a barn fire. Unfortunately, they've now been served up to the firefighters as sausages.
To say thank you.
Yes.
What'd they save them for then? They could have just barbecued them right there.
I know, it's just outrageously stupid.
It's just bonkers. It really is.
Please.
And as a tribute to Rach,
vegetarians and vegans.
I know. As a tribute to Rach returning, if she'll show up, we leave the last story to her. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has claimed that one of his predecessors was too drunk to vote in Parliament.
Well, you remember the lovely Tony Abbott, who I really didn't like very much, and he then exited as Prime Minister. Malcolm Turnbull took over. This story's emerged from 2009. This is just one of these, tit for tat stories. At the moment, Tony Abbott is doing his very best to undermine the Prime Minister because he's annoyed with him. He's a very conservative, on swaying to the right kind of a guy, whereas Malcolm Turnbull is more of a liberal, sort of in the centre kind of a guy. So Tony Abbott promised when he lost his prime ministership that he wouldn't undermine the Prime Minister, has done, and has been very vocal at speeches and with the press and undermining everything Malcolm Turnbull's doing. So they're digging up something on him, and it's just going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But, I mean, really, who do you know in your life who hasn't, other than a child, who hasn't got drunk and fallen asleep somewhere and woken up and gone, oh,
yeah, I know.
It's a non-story.
In other news this week, the mayor of Poprad has resigned after being caught breaking the drink-drive laws in Slovakia. Marvellous. Uek. Anyway, Brandon says, have you never heard of the Queen of Britain, Queen Elizabeth? That's why you have Royal Mail. OK, Brandon, I give up. You're all right.
Also why we have books. Thank you, Brandon.
Brandon, are you two, is this like dating service something between you and Rach or what?
It's Radio Tinder.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord. Rach.
Yes?
What's happening this weekend?
Oh, not much of anything, really. Just a quiet dinner with some people tomorrow night and edging my way back into normal society.
So is Rob doing the cooking?
Oh, God, no, we're going out.
Oh, that's right. Phew, I was beginning to worry there for a moment. Leigh, what are you up to, mate?
Well, we're going to do what we did last weekend, but in a different way this time. We're actually going to see 3 new bands who have arrived in the Costa, wherever we are, the Costa Blanca, and are performing live over the weekend. And we're going to gather some of their music and we're going to play it on Leigh's dinner party on RTI FM.
Wow. Sure. Wow. And guess what I'm going to be doing without breaking the law?
Not smoking.
Well, close.
Not drinking.
We've actually found, because you can't have a barbecue on a balcony in Slovakia, it's illegal because of the fire problems.
Yes.
But we found an electric barbecue that is all right.
Oh, right.
So I'm going to have a barbecue this weekend.
Yay!
An electric barbecue.
Yeah.
How do you make it stink of...
Oh, you can do all that bit as well, but because there's no fire, it's perfectly legit. Oh my word, we better go. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great week till next week. And Brandon, yes, you're quite right. It's a different conversation. And thank you for joining in. Thank you everybody else for listening as well and joining in. It's Steve Bishop up next. I better go, or he'll shout at me.